Now I'd like to take a moment to thank our innovator sponsor, Boston Consulting Group, BCG, for their support of Dreamforce. Joining me now is Bryan Gauch, Managing Director and Partner at BCG. BCG recently studied why so many companies struggle to unlock maximum value from their commercial tech transformations. What's the biggest disconnect you're seeing between investment and impact?
Well, we typically see there's not just one, but there's a few, and it could be a different combination. But primarily we see one being investment tied to a discrete, measurable value case, right? You go to a value pool, it's too wide, too obscure. You get much tighter to a value opportunity, we see big success spike. Two others that I think we're seeing on a disconnect is that incentives for everybody in the program, not just senior leaders, but all the way down to the business and IT practitioners that are meant to drive the program, their incentives are not aligned to actual program milestones and the overall value case. And I think the third that we typically would see is really around, does business have an outside seat at the table when making decisions? Because fundamentally, the commercial tech transformations are meant to transform operating models and business processes.
So what are the companies that are seeing the strongest returns doing differently then?
Well, we're seeing organizations, I say cap and starve competing initiatives. When you have competing initiatives, what that typically does is that it's a threefold knock-on effect. One, it actually pulls resources away from the transformation, right? A transformation's a mindset before it's a muscle, but you can get confused on what your priorities are by your boss. So focus on the transformation. Number two, when we look at those incentives, is that it moves the stick for the end users that are meant to adopt whatever the technology innovation that you're trying to deliver. So it creates a chasm, a valley of despair, an adoption that users are meant to traverse. And I think the third one is it does take investment to run business as usual initiatives. And when you can starve those out and invest in the transformation, you mitigate the risk and some of the contingency we know clients need to have every day.
So, all right, how can the firms that are lagging behind then catch up to the others?
I think number one is they need to take a hard look into their program structure. Do they have the right athletes on the field, right, to play in the game, to run the race? That sounds at times difficult and brutal, right? Because a lot of company cultures, they need to invest in empathy and sympathy, but what I just said contradicts that. But identifying the people that are meant to be on the field is priority number one. I think priority two is, we just talked about, is move everything else off their plate. Focus on the transformation, because it's not meant to be easy, it's meant to be hard. Otherwise it'd be a project, not a transformation. And I think the third thing organization can fundamentally do to create an unlock for themselves is have consistent checkpoints with their leadership on a monthly basis that determine, do they need to course correct? Do they need to invest in new areas where there are gaps? I think those three things very mechanically can help organizations start to rethink and repivot how they're investing in transformation.
I like that. And just a couple sentences, what's the one piece of advice you would give to leaders just embarking on this commercial transformation powered by tech?
Don't go wide, go narrow and go deep, right? So think of agentic, think of transformation, and all the things Salesforce can do for their clients. It's don't try to do everything at once, right? Eat the elephant, one bite at a time. So go thin, but go super deep, because as we look at turning value on, it's really around a complete process for a discrete set of users, not just a thing or a use case for many different users. So be focused, be thin, go deep.
I like that. Don't bite the elephant, don't eat the elephant. That's great. Bryan, thank you so much for joining us.